We're live. I was just surfing around for some pictures, image searches to make some JPEGs and whatnot, and I came across this blog. It says it's by Dana Rain, and she's done a really good job. So I wanted to do a live stream on it because you'll come across things on the internet, and you'll never sort of find them again. So it's on WordPress.com. And it's called Dog Pig Hybrids and the Heretical Teachings of the Jesuits during the Counter-Reformation. So I couldn't resist, me, taking a swipe at the Whore of Babylon. So I'm going to go into what the article tells us, and we'll check it out. So it says the act of revelation was explored in Protestant Reformation prints to demonstrate that the Catholic Church was something more sinister than what they externally portrayed. See, people seem to have forgotten this. I did a video on the sixth bowl of wrath, which was the Jesuits. And in the sixth bowl of wrath, the beast loses its power as the Euphrates dries up. But it then goes on to say that out of the mouth of the false prophet, the beast, and the dragon goes these frog demons. And they go gathering everyone to Armageddon. And so in this context of the Jesuits going out to gather the whole world to Armageddon, it's good to have also the historical record of the Jesuits, and the things that were happening at the time. Let me just check this is streaming okay. Yeah. Let's see. Let's just see how it goes. In this way, their outward physical appearance, from their tonsured haircut to their clerical robes, were shown to be devices to disguise their internal sin and deviousness. In other words, they were signs of false piety. For example, in a 1587 copper engraving by F. Hildenberg entitled The Devil's Kitchen, the inner sins of the clergy are revealed as a demon is depicted gutting a monk as he pulls out symbolic motifs, including a dog and a pig, symbolizing unclean and scavenging animals that represent greed. So here's the picture. They really pulled no punches back then. Very graphic illustrations, and you got to say knowledgeable. Really, this knowledge has been lost from 400 or 500 years ago. We can see what they're saying about the demon. Got the knife in the mouth. It's gutting the monk. Kind of grotesque, as like a dog. These unclean animals are coming out of its inward parts. Again, the demons doing the same thing over there, kind of grotesque. The Devil's Kitchen. Catholic theologians and Jesuits were singled out with their portrayal as floppy-eared dogs during the 1520s at the height of the Protestant Reformation, and again in the 1560s during the early years of the Counter-Reformation. Dogs were employed to portray Catholic opponents. Although the Society of Jesus was formally established in 1540, it was only in the 1560s, after the publication of the 1568 der Suiten that Jesuits became the routine target of the Protestant propaganda. This period also marked a point in their counter-Reformation campaign when Catholicism started to rebound after the Peace of Augsburg. If I remember correctly, that is where there was a decree signed which said that you could follow either Protestantism, Calvinism, or Catholicism, and that you were legally allowed to do that. Okay, cool. So, yeah, if anybody was in yesterday's video, my microphone was all over the place, so apologies for that. But this microphone's a little bit quiet, but it works better, I think. While artists used the various animals to mock the Catholic clergy, the dog and the wolf were popular as they had biblical resonance and cultural familiarity. The frequency of drawing upon the familiarity of the canine motif in the context of the Reformation made the message of the Protestant polemical prince readily understood in the same way that Thomas Murner was frequently depicted as a cat. So this next illustration here, she's going to go into more detail about what's going on. Maybe we could just point out quickly what's going on here before we read the text. So you've got at the top, you'll recognise the triple crown of the papacy. It's on the head of a swine. We have like a dog flanking either side, and there's some sucklings here. We have got the kings on the left, and on the right we've got kind of more demons suckling and bringing up these animals. Below we've got like a church on the left with dogs learning in there, and on the right we've got a schoolhouse, again dogs learning, being taught. There's some details of this which are easier to see. So in the middle we've got this sort of dogs feeding, there's excrement everywhere. We've got this figure of Jesus here, and he looks like he's healing. And then we've got swines jumping in the sea on the left, and then here we've got dogs attacking a man on the right. So we're going to get into what the significance of these things are here. It's from 1568, a woodcut. The anonymous Latin broadsheet was published in German vernacular a year later as Der Suiten, those who call themselves Jesuits. In 1569, the broadsheet portrays an unholy alliance between the papal clergy and the Jesuits in what appears to be an original concept. Suiten was a play on the name of Jesuits by taking Jesus out of the name. Therefore, the broadsheet aimed to criticise and undermine the Counter-Reformation agenda. Its publication in Latin also suggests it was also designed to be read by the clergy as a satirical critique. The focal point of the woodcut on the broadsheet is the papal sow and a dog situated at the top central position. Their diabolical union that created the Jesuits was symbolised by their muzzles almost touching. The drooling sow with the crown of the papacy has given birth to hybrid canine swine offspring representing the Jesuits, with the head of a dog, a wolf's tail, and the body and hooves of a pig. The print states that the dog father was born from a she-wolf depicted behind the sow, marked letter C, acknowledging the fact that dogs had evolved from wolves. The text below states that the offspring is the evil and harmful horde which, to mock Jesus, call themselves Jesuits, though they don't know Jesus at all. The text further describes the Jesuits as possessing the characteristics of all three animals. The way a dog sits by his master's table, nice and friendly, valiant and good, will not permit any strange fellow to come near, from pure wickedness, hatred, and is envious, so that he alone will have his place. Such little dogs are the Sutton, and they're called here, it's obviously Germanic, it means Jesuits. Such little dogs are the Jesuits. They know how to integrate themselves, nice, all gentle and friendly, as long as they are being acquainted with people in highest positions in the land. And then we have German there, carrying on. So these are the details and the descriptions of the hybrid of the dog wolf and the swine, raising up these little dogs who are the Jesuits, and these are the Jesuit schools underneath. On the right is a Jesuit school. I think there's more of a detail of that coming up next. And the Jesuits going out attacking people and kind of defending the Catholic Church. Counter-Reformation. They were said to have a wolfish nature, so we've done the dog and this is why the Jesuits are like the wolf as well as the dog, for the wolf sneaks into a pen and stable to the sheep and strangles them all. The Jesuits, also in a wolfish bad habit and custom, are able to masterly hide and adorn their predatory heart and stingy back. Okay, so that's translated out that German that we just saw there. In this way, the broadsheet paints the Jesuits as having a duplicitous nature, with the predatory character of a wolf on the inside and a friendliness of a dog on the exterior. The large Pope sow recalls the motif of the Jewish sow, which is characterized by a large sow being suckled by Jews. This was a common motif that was almost exclusively German and could be seen on the exterior of Wittenberg's town church. Okay, the Pope was identified as Pope Paul IV using his original name Carafe. Pope Paul IV was his dates are 1559 to 1565, known for his harsh measures against Protestants. The Pope is further portrayed with a spiral of excrement on top of the papal tiara, desanctifying the sacred emblem of the papacy. Excrement was associated with demonic pollution and was a recurring motif in print, usually associated with fools and the peasantry. Again, another use of the pig. So I wanted to go into this detail of the schoolhouse. Okay, so we're going to have more information about those demons that were on the top. The depravity of such an alliance was emphasized by snake-haired furies acting as wet nurses to the litter of puppy piglets. The diabolical offspring of an unholy alliance further drew in the poison from the furies. The combination of these motifs served as symbols of demonic associations that were used as part of the visual campaign in pictorial prints that other perceived enemies. The print uses symmetry to divide the print into thirds. Looking down the woodcut from left to right, the puppy pig offspring are shown to increase in age. A Lutheran church is shown desecrated by junior puppy pig hybrid offspring on the centre left. Their older siblings are portrayed in a schoolhouse on the centre right. The schoolhouse shows dog-headed and pig-headed instructors at opposing lecterns. They have been identified as the two most influential academics at Ingolstadt University, Dutch Jesuit Peter Canisius, with his dates, with the head of a dog, a likely play on his name, so that's like canine, and Martin Eisengrein, with the dates, as a drooling pig. The image of the schoolhouse recalls the contradicting sermons published in 1529 by George Pence, where a room was shown divided between two preachers, a reformed and papal preacher bidding for the attention of the congregation. This comparison elicits the discord between existing faculty as Jesuits took over senior positions within Ingolstadt University. This is really interesting because this is basically the start of where we've ended up today. I mean, a lot of the presidents and the big political figures have all been schooled in Jesuit colleges. And again, the current Pope is also a Jesuit, so quite interesting to look at the early days of the Jesuits from the 16th century to moving into the 21st century, and where the Jesuits have taken everybody with their corrupt theologies. By 1588, the Jesuits had taken over the entire arts faculty. Isengrin acted as a mediator between the two factions, which pointed to the purpose of the broadsheet. The Jesuit College was also particularly interested in recruiting converted instructors from Lutheran universities. Isengrin himself converted to Catholicism in 1558, which no doubt drew the ire of Lutherans. So this is the detail of the schoolhouse, which I'm liking that a lot. Being an artist myself, we got on the left, it was either Canisius, the Dutch, and on the right Isengrin, so the two prominent Jesuit theologians who were converting Germans in these Jesuit schools. This is the schoolhouse. So you can see the book, he's got excrement on the book, he's giving them excrement. The little dogs are sort of up on their two legs, receiving it. And as we move from left to right, we've got that looks like rosary beads around the one dog, and they're learning from their books. Kind of similar thing going on there on the other side. 1568 there on the logo on the lectern. The chaotic scene of the schoolhouse also satirises the Jesuit attempt to convert people to Catholicism within Germany through education. And so again, this is how, if you think about Common Core, which is the curriculum that's being taught in the schools, everyone's being taught New Age. So this is how this has evolved from the Reformation, 450 years ago, and the reasons as to how this corruption has spread throughout the whole world. They established 22 colleges along the Rhineland by the time of the 30 Years' War in the 17th century. Canisius was a Dutch missionary who was devoted to returning Catholicism to the German lands and led the establishment of the Jesuit colleges. So if you don't know, the 30 Years' War was between German kings who were Protestants and the other German kings who supported the Catholic Church, and the whole of Europe kind of got drawn into it. And the resolution was this Peace of Augsburg, where it was established that people could choose to follow either Protestantism or Catholicism, and then the third one was Calvinism, but that was a result of the 30 Years' War. But the Counter-Reformation was very much to try and bring the whole world back into Catholicism via the Jesuits. His foreign status, so he's Dutch, a Dutchman in Germany. His foreign status, like many of the earlier Jesuits, further drew the irritation of the German Protestant movement. The broadside states, "The dog-headed Canisius barks out his poisonous teaching." turning students into savages, underscored by the scene marked L, with a man being attacked by a group of dogs. This scene further recalls the biblical passage, "Dogs surround me, a pack of villains encircles me," Psalm 22:16. The image is paralleled with a reference to the demon-possessed swine that were drowned by Jesus in Mark 5:1 through to 13, suggesting that the Jesuits are the demonic-possessed swine. Kind of interesting. Again, the Protestants at the time who were designing these pieces of art were kind of very knowledgeable. Returning to the schoolhouse, excrement was depicted on Canisius's open book and the book of a puppy-pig hybrid sitting on the floor. This quite literally equated Jesuit teaching with excrement. This motif could also quite likely be in response to the popularity of Canisius's 3 catechisms after Loyola drew up a program of teaching for Canisius. Again, mocking the ill teaching of the Jesuits, the text reads as if coming from Eisengrain. Also, it would be fine if they would roll around in puddles and feces, and if they would swallow up such things, it would be the best feeding. This and a lot of other such ribaldry, which I didn't want to put here, does the Epicurean swine spit out. So Epicurus was an ancient Greek philosopher whose philosophy was that pleasure was the highest form of lifestyle, of the state. You know, the whole point of life was to live in pleasure. So the Epicurean swine spits out and is supposed to be pure wisdom. Yeah, so with them posing as the ministers of righteousness, they're supposed to deliver wisdom, but they're actually delivering this Epicurean spittle, is what it's saying. Again, clever, knowledgeable. This passage was illustrated by the canine piglet hybrids outside the school consuming their feces, in other words, Jesuit teaching. Right, so if I was to go back just quickly into the main image, we can see exactly what it's talking about. So it's split into thirds. The top half is the papacy giving birth to these Jesuits. The Jesuits then having these schools where they're learning this doctrine, this evil doctrine, which is, you know, we've got the excrement there, and then this lower tier, the third tier here, you have like these biblical, the biblical healing of the that's probably the gathering demoniac, the man who was possessed with the legion of demons, and then they're cast out into the herd of swine, and the swine go into the sea. And then that's on the left, and then on the right you've got these dogs that have been raised up, i.e. the Jesuits, going out into the world to attack people. So we have this kind of interesting insight into what was going on around 15, you know, halfway through the 16th century, 1550, with this kind of warning of Protestant knowledge about what was happening. The Jesuits were being very friendly, as it says, like a dog's friendly, and it guards the Catholic Church, and it's friendly to those in those higher positions. You know, if we tie that back into what I was saying formerly about Armageddon, how the demons, although in Revelation they're depicted as frogs, in this illustration they're depicted as dogs, and so they're going out befriending all the kings of the earth, bringing them to Armageddon. If you didn't see the video I did on Armageddon, I recommend that. But that's pretty much it, unless there's anything further down the page. And I might need to. I mean, this could just go on forever, but I was particularly interested in yeah, let's just leave it at that. It's probably too much to keep going on and on and on. So I was impressed with this. This was the links in the comments if anybody wishes to go and read it for themselves about the where's the title gone? But it's by Dana K. Wren, and it's on wordpress.com. Link is in the comments. Oh, here it is. Dog pig hybrids and the heretical teachings of the Jesuits during the Counter-Reformation. Dog pig hybrids. Okay. So it's adios, and I'll see you again in the next video.